Friends, in this module, we will look at the barriers to women's representation in higher positions in academic institutions. What may be the cause of the gross underrepresentation of women at higher positions in academic institutions?
A higher educational setting that appears to be committed to equal opportunities with at least equal number of men and women studying for degrees, what is it that is stopping highly capable women from taking half the seats at the top of the table? There are definitely enough women getting into universities and colleges. There are also enough women opting for academics as a career. However, as the career level progresses from lecturer to professor, the number of women decline. So we need to ask if there is a dearth of women at the base of the pyramid, or there is an invisible barrier that prevents women's career growth after middle management positions. While there is evidence that when women aspire to leadership positions, they frequently get rejected due to unfavorable practices, many women academics are also reluctant to go for senior leadership. Are women being refused senior leadership through discriminatory procedures? What are the obstacles that hinder their advancement, as well as the facilitators that these women perceive which could enable them to reach senior leadership positions? Friends, this issue is multifaceted and deep rooted in socio-cultural expectations and assumptions of gender. Preconceived cultural notions for leadership capabilities, process of executive selection, and lesser participation from women at middle management level all play a role in leading to paucity of women executives. This issue, though more severe in India, is a global phenomenon. A variety of external, interpersonal, and internal factors can hinder women's advancement. Let's look at them. Paths to leadership are slower and often blocked for women due to administrative positioning in academics and adverse institutional culture, which is mainly dominant gendered organizational culture, a well-defined hierarchy, and academic leadership is often considered a masculine function in Indian higher education, and the academic community carries this gender bias. Many mid-career women choose to relinquish promotion to senior leadership positions to avoid messy politics and sexist behaviors. Discrimination can be a barrier to women leadership. Men and women travel through different ladders. Those who are already in some leadership role are not as well recognized as men or are not appropriately rewarded in their institutions. Here are some examples of workplace discrimination: denying benefits or promotions, giving impossible tasks, and exclusion or isolation by co-workers. Even though being at the similar position, men tend to get promotion faster than women. Women often have a feeling of being treated insignificant while referring to the men's networking and promotion of manly identities. In spite of women being interested in leadership and management roles, they end up doing teaching and research. Since the higher education sector is based on the expertise of teaching and research, it can be assumed that the reason behind women's indecisive approach for senior roles is that they believe that they are meant to do only teaching and research and are fit for that. Women often face incompatible challenges between work-life balance. Women prioritize their family issues and are usually more committed towards their dependent family or children. Mobility becomes an issue for women, whereas men are more open to working in other states or abroad. Their careers usually don't get impeded by their family commitments. In the demanding work structure of today's organization, it is incompatible to have a top notch career and raise a family. The fact that women may have to leave from work on time to care for their children or take time off for maternity leave forces women to choose between career and family due to the direct conflict between the resources needed to satisfy both professional and family obligations. Although both men and women have less time to devote to their professional life when they have family obligations, still women are more responsible for the majority of domestic work, and consequently their professional careers are affected by the familial roles they assume. In the Indian context, the gender role theory plays an important role. The traditional patriarchal society has ensured that women perform the role of caretakers at home and men become the breadwinners. Families in India have also stereotyped women to shoulder the responsibilities of the household, caring for children and contributing to the family income, but having neither an ambition or any say. Ambitiousness in women is also considered as not very healthy. This does not leave much scope for women other than to drop out in exasperation. Even after decades, this stereotype continues to apply in the social and professional setup. While men take up the more visible and challenging profiles such as sales and marketing and are decision makers, women favor the supportive functions. The acceptance of male figures as leaders is also high, both among men and women, replicating the social structure. Women have always seen men as the center of power and authority, and they find it difficult to associate authority with women. And then there is this strong old boys network to which women do not get entry and therefore lose out on opportunities and support. In most cases, women are subjected to fault finding and have had to prove themselves over and over again to be worthy of a position. For the same traits such as being aggressive, a quick decision maker, or preferring career over family, women are looked at as being too pushy, dominating, and self centered, while men are considered worthy of a leadership role. Female participants clearly experience that while their competence alone did not take them very far, it was male advocacy at work and their husbands' support at home which helped them reach the top position. The other barrier to women advancing in higher academic roles is the glass ceiling and sex role stereotypes, where people tend to associate male characteristics with leadership positions. This is also known as think leader, think male phenomena. Individuals associate successful leaders with stereotypically male attributes such as independence, assertiveness, and decisiveness. These characteristics are not considered women-like in the professional environment. Hence, women do not cognitively fit the top jobs. Apart from this, the absence of women-friendly policy for leadership development in higher education institutions can also be a barrier. Lack of vision, policies and practices to encourage female leadership prevent women from assuming higher positions or higher levels at educational institutions. Universities and policy making bodies lack any clear policy regarding the development of female leadership. Qualified women at higher educational institutions aspiring to be in leadership positions often face prejudice, glass ceiling, and unfavorable responses from seniors, peers, and society. And then there is the pipeline argument, which point to historically less women being enrolled in academic programs such as law schools, MBA programs, PhD degree programs, etc. These arguments assume that when there are enough women in the pipeline, they will eventually pursue and undertake leadership positions. Women are particularly underrepresented in science and technology primarily due to limitations on resources such as funding and educational opportunities. Lack of role models, mentors, networking, and capacity building training can also be hindrance to women's assuming leadership role. The lack of women in senior position in itself acts as a barrier to more women reaching higher levels within institutions. Women therefore find themselves working in a gendered institutional culture and with few female role models to look up to. Perhaps this in part explains the lack of women in senior roles in academics and specifically in science and technology, although a number of other significant challenges have also been identified. Another interesting argument is that women are not genetically predisposed to leadership roles. This argument suggests that men and women are inherently different since men have a preference for risky, high-stake environment that the top leadership positions demand due to their increased testosterone levels, whereas women are more empathetic and relationship-oriented due to the hormone oxytocin. The notion that women are biologically created as natural homemaker is what social conservatives believe is the reason behind feminist war of women not attaining equality to men in the professional area. And this is because their genetic makeup is different. And in India, there is another argument, the public-private divide, and that has been associated with notions of gender. Women's work has been viewed within the private domain of household, whereas men's work has been associated with authority and productivity. Lower female leadership aspiration and lack of motivation of women to take up leadership roles has also been pointed out as reasons for fewer women at higher levels. Aspiration is an essential determinant of professional achievement, status, and hierarchical development. Thus, assessing factors triggering female leadership aspiration is critical. Leadership aspiration is defined as the personal interest in reaching a leadership position and the determination to accept the offer to take up such position. Traditionally, women have been more job-centric instead of career-centric, and they look at the short-term benefit of a job. Since academic leadership roles come along with high responsibility and seek a high amount of commitment to a job, women refrain from attaining such positions. Getting women to apply for certain jobs suitable to them is very difficult due to their uncertainty about their own profile and fitment to the role and credentials. It is observed that men apply for jobs despite their imperfect academic or non-academic credentials as compared to women. Hence, modesty is another important challenge with women. Unless there is specific reward or motivation attached, women are less likely to apply for senior managerial and leadership roles. Those who take up such roles are found to be either endorsed by their direct superior or shown faith in their credentials and capabilities by some third party. In most of the cases, women overvalue the qualification of other colleagues and end up underestimating their own potential. In a very interesting table, Northouse and Lee has classified the causes of what is holding women back. That is the barriers that women encounter while climbing the leadership ladder. And it has been divided into three categories: the human capital, the gender difference, and the prejudices. So the human capital barriers could be the amount of education, amount of work experience, fewer developmental opportunities, and the work-home conflict. The gender difference barriers could be perceived ineffective leadership style, perceived less commitment or motivation, less self-promotion, and less likely to have leadership traits. And prejudices that hold women back to assume leadership roles could be pervasive gender stereotypes, biased perceptions and evaluations, vulnerability, and pressure from double standards. In their study, Gandhi and Sen have also identified the reasons for missing women in Indian university leadership. And this has been again categorized into experiences that women face in Indian university leaderships, organizational challenges, personal limitations, family and social obstacles, and then the strategies and enablers. The experiences that are specific to women include that women have to prove themselves twice as worthy. Mostly opinions of male are considered. There is lack of gender balance in leadership roles and non-transparent promotion policies, and also fault finding in women by male seniors. Organizational challenges that women face include absence of diversity and inclusion policy for leadership roles, non-commitment to research, lack of skills development policies for women. In addition to this, there could be family limitations such as responsibilities of taking care of families and adolescent children, lack of networking, access to leadership development training not being there, and oral communication skills in meetings with higher authorities. Other family and social obstacles could be lack of support from family and husband, complete responsibility for household chores, negative attitude from social circle towards leadership role. Finally, Gandhi and Sen also identify certain strategies or enablers. For example, time management for self-development, co-opting right help for work-life balance, developing the right network, being able to speak to the point in a meeting with higher authorities, policy support for leadership development, and emotional control in extreme situations.
In the next module, we will look at the significance of women in academic leadership and what is the impact that women can bring to leadership positions in higher education institutions.